Much later. All right, then, welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, all eyes are on the service chiefs. And why not? There's huge expectations, even though some don't expect much. But look, too much is given. You know what they say about that office. Well, let's get to Mark, where we've got some gentlemen there to weigh in on the subject matter. Mark, where?
Indeed, we have with us Engineer Magaji, who is APC national stakeholder and member of the 2019 Presidential Campaign Council of the same party. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
And we also have with us Honorable Dachong, who is a member, House Committee on National Security and Intelligence. You're welcome, Honorable.
Thank you. Morning, Margaret.
Well, Nigerians clamored for change, change the service chiefs, and now we have change. And everyone is looking to them for, should I say redemption now? You heard the president saying, we're in a state of emergency. The paper that made me chuckle the most was this one that said, we're in a state of emergency, I'll pray for you. Should we be looking at prayers now? Is that what we're, is that where we are at? But you must admit that we are indeed in a state of emergency.
Absolutely.
So for these chiefs to hit the ground running, first we'll ask, do you think that the president has put square pegs in square holes? Is that your first impression when you look at the profile and the antecedents of this new service chiefs?
Yeah, well, I will say, looking at the profile of the service chiefs, and they have been involved in fighting incidents over the years. They have worked with the former service chiefs, and just like we were saying, the anti-hero and so on and so forth was in charge of the theater command and so on and so forth. So with what we have on ground, I will say, yes, square pegs in square hole, but in a stagnant position. Because with the situation we have now on ground, it's not just having people with capacity, but looking at the problem, analyzing the issues. Do we have institutional capacity?
When you say in a stagnant position,
in a stagnant position because in a stagnant position because they have been involved in virtually like they have been people behind the scene. And if there have been people behind the scene, they know the issues. And if they know the issues, why is it that they were not able to solve the issues till when they are being made service chiefs? So these are critical and analytical questions that we need to ask. That if you were there when the issues were on the top and heated moment, and you were not able to advise your superiors to be able to handle the issues till we wait after 4 or 5 years for you to come into the helms of affairs, then where are we? But I looked at it critically, that with the situation we have on ground, it's not about the capacity, but it's about the institution.
The institution of the military.
The military entirely, our security institution. I have looked at, we have as much intelligence that we need in terms of whatsoever issues are happening within Nigeria in terms of insecurity. The DSS have enough information, NI has enough information, DI has enough information. Our problem is operation.
You don't really have enough information.
They don't have.
Oftentimes we talk about the failure of intelligence, but let me quickly ask you to hold your thoughts. And let me take the, the thoughts of Engineer Magaji. Your party has been drumming up support for these new service chiefs, who, as he's pointed out, at least two of them are well known to the media. Correct. The first, for instance, the Chief of Defense Staff, briefed the media constantly, almost on a monthly basis, on how the operations was going with Lafia Dole in the Northeast. I remember the team from Channels Television constantly making that trip every month to Borno to get briefings, bring it live to Nigerians as to what was going on there. We also saw when a mistake was made in Iran, when civilians were bombed in Iran, it was this the current Chief of Defense Staff who's waiting for confirmation. I think you're waiting on that one very soon about whether or not they need confirmation. Who came out to brief the public to say this was what happened. We killed civilians accidentally with the bombings in Iran. So these are no strangers. They have led the operations before now, even though, yes, they of course report to their bosses, but they are aware of the security problems. Why do you need them to drum up support for them again?
Well, thank you very much. I think, first of all, we have to recognize that this is an intervention. The Nigerian citizens have been calling for this change, and Mr. President have answered the yearnings of the citizens. We could say that it's late, but it's better late than never, because at the moment we have new service chiefs. This has been a very critical element of the discourse in the polity. And now we have Major General Leo Irabo. Like you said, it's been very active in the theater of providing a solution to this bedeviling security situation, both Boko Haram and other situations. He's been a transparent soldier. He's been professional. And right now, there's a bit of a warm feeling in the military cycle that he is going to lead with that level of transparency. And as citizens in a democracy, we need soldiers with that approach in terms of the way they communicate with citizens. The same thing with General Atairu. Atairu is also a soldier who was active in the theater of war in the Boko Haram enclave. Of course, the controversy was that he has been pulled out 4 years ago.
Yes, he was removed.
Yes,
And he was actually charged for ineffectiveness.
Yes, I think, look, if we look at military operation, we can look at a tactical and strategic approach. I think right now, the fact that he has been brought back, it's probably that he proposed a different tactical approach and strategic approach, and now the expert may have reviewed the situation we're in and proposed to the president that that approach may be the best. And therefore, you always have to have a position and stand. And I'm glad that we are bringing somebody with a different viewpoint. And if you look at the other service chiefs, I mean, look at Rear Admiral, for example.
Before you go to the other admirals,
yes,
do you think that it's important that that be acknowledged by the presidency?
No.
Because indeed this news was out there at that point in time, and then there are those who will be questioning if our new chief of army staff, and the army is very critical in this battle.
Yes, indeed.
If the new chief of army staff has been in charge of Operation Lafiya before, and he was removed for perceived ineffectiveness, and he's coming back as chief of army staff, don't you think that there ought to be some acknowledgement of that on the part of the presidency, and perhaps some justification to say this is why we have brought him back, so that at least people are buoyed, they are encouraged
to recognize that what
this
is
is not
happening
change for the sake of change.
Correct. Look, what better acknowledgement do you need to have this historical background, and then for the president to say, you know what, this gentleman who was pulled out of this position is now brought back, which means the president needs a change of strategy, need a change of tactics. And there is a recognition that that gentleman's position could be the best position now. I think we don't need to have a word from Mr. President to say this is what we're doing. The fact that the team has been changed and swapped with that history, it clearly shows that the president wanted. Look, you need to remember the president himself said it, that we are in this together. I am a general, you are a general, we're a product of the same system. So the president knows exactly why this swap took place. In fact, the swap is even more important considering the circumstances of the history. So we are looking for, look, we know that you cannot be repeating the same thing every time and get a different result. Meaning that if we want to get a different result, we get somebody with a different viewpoint of the problem. And therefore, bringing Atairu on board is clearly saying there will be a change in the way the federal government approach this security challenge. For me, that is what it says in holistic terms. And you need to also see definitely how this gentleman was managing the operation before. It's different. His strategy has been a more coordinated intelligence. Remember, there was a crisis within the security architecture of the country when there were no coordinations, no communications between the various arms of the security apparatus. This gentleman, his position was, we cannot win this war if we do not coordinate. And there were power positions differently, even including civilians who were actually tempering. There was a letter that came out in public space by the National Security Advisor saying to civilians that you are interfering with the security apparatus of an operation of the country. And I remember vaguely that this position of Atairu was that coordination between the various arms, the NIA, the DMI, the DSS, intelligence is more critical than brute deployment of force on ground. And not only that, I think his approach was also that social security is an important component of this operation. He also, I think, I was privy to some of the documents that says, look, you have to have a different approach. There is a national sovereignty issue, which is policing our border and which is the military cooperation. Then there is the homeland security issue, which is basically saying the operators of the security apparatus within the borders of the country need to coordinate, talk to themselves, share intelligence, and basically provide, well, the military are policing borders by bad actors crossing our borders and also bringing in arms and also fighting insurgents across our borders. So you basically ring-fence the whole country, and then the Homeland Security Operation will deploy the various arm of our security, the police, the DSS, the NI and DMI, and share intelligence and make sure the clusters of these operators, bad actors, are identified and are surveillanced and are dealt with effectively and decisively. Now, the problem has been that lack of coordination within the security architecture had resulted in basically pre-knowledge, unfortunately, of operations of military or police or other intelligence agencies leaking to some of these actors. So there was even all sort of accusation that this has now become a commercial operation rather than a security operation. So believe me, right now we're very happy to have new service chiefs because we need a change. And now we have the Major General who is well respected, like you mentioned, as Chief of Defence Staff. A Major General who is very respected as Chief of Army Staff. A Rear Admiral who is celebrated now by the men in his own sector on board. And we have an Air Vice Marshal who is also very well known, very well respected within the service. And they're all in charge now. What is important now is the President said we are in a state of emergency. I like that recognition that we have not gotten the solution yet. But also we are in a salvage situation because this mission needs to be salvaged. This situation needs to be salvaged. So we're looking for the most creative ideas from the service chiefs. You need to remember the stagnation of the promotion because of lack of relieving of the service chiefs have resulted in very low morale in the whole service. So right now, there is celebration that, 2 years to the end of this, 2.5 years to the end of this administration, there are new service chiefs. Meaning now they have gotten to the peak of their career, they will give us their best, they will come up with new ideas, and the other officers will feel like, you know what, 2 years down the line, we're going to also get some mobility. So everybody is going to put in his best.
Well, some people will say if we're to go with what we already saw before, maybe they shouldn't get their hopes up just yet. But just before you say, before you intervene, I know you want to quickly say something. Let's flip this to Lagos now, because I hear my colleagues have questions for you. Gentlemen.
Well, actually, we do have a guest here, so they can just hold their compound up for a while. Akparakwu joins us right here in Lagos studio. He is the chairman, Governing Council, Policing Nigeria Awareness Initiative. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today. Well, all of this talk about new service chiefs, what is expected of them, where they are coming from, and how to proceed. How do they all sit with you, especially when we see that you're of the Policing Nigeria Initiative concern?
Yeah, for me, another part of our development partners' mindset, even if we change service chiefs 10 times without doing the needful, we'll still not get the result.
What's the needful in this case?
The needful is until the grassroots policing intelligence feedback mechanisms are activated in Nigeria, we will not get the answers of insecurity situation results. The difference between the security operators, the operatives themselves, the citizens that were supposed to be supporting their services, being separated from reaching one another, the linkages are breaking off and no linkage synergies. The people are scared of the security agencies operators. The entire system is looking like it's a two-way thing where some persons are standing the other way and these other ones are standing this way as an opposition of different interests. Now, is the reason we are not having results on our intelligence operations.
Yesterday we had a Major General, a retired Major General, and he did allude to his point when he said that now that they're on board, that there will be synergy. So would it be right for us to perhaps assume that that synergy will extend to cover some of those issues you've raised now?
Yeah, we will be very happy. Nigerians generally will be very, very happy if the new service chiefs will come up with a clear picture of development partnership relationship between them and Nigerian citizens. Because one, their job will be far easier for them if they open a relationship with Nigerian citizens in a clear picture of partnering for the progress of intelligence gathering and then synergizing with the citizens, especially on the platforms of covert operation interests to support their operational effort to give us results. We really will be appreciating that the welcome note comments are put to action, and Nigerians are really expecting so much from them. So giving us any comment at this point, we'll be putting them on the focus line because we expect them to do exactly what they have said.
You know, regarding this ends and, you know, piecing them all together, look, with due respect to the police, I'm just wondering, do you think that they've actually demonstrated that capacity, capability, you know, such that, well, they can be relied upon in insurgency scenarios such as this one, especially when people say, look, they've not been able to get the kind of results or be out there themselves because nobody stops them from performing what they have to do?
Are you talking of the police now?
Yes, the police.
The Nigerian police force structure, generally, have a problem that over the years have remained as a menace that needed to be solved. The hierarchy of the police gives so much powers to the senior personnel of the police force, and the rank and files of the police force have little or no clear knowledge of relationship between the citizens and the operations in their hands, especially when you come to the aspects of investigation. Investigation in Nigeria goes with interrogation, where the officers are supposed to go out there to search information to what they need to do or put together to unravel crime. The police will prefer to pick a suspect into an interrogation room from where this person is tortured, and at the end of the day, the tortured evidence maybe gathered will be used as evidence to be used for prosecution. That alone scare intelligence operations. That alone separate the citizens completely from their friendship. Yes, the simple word is police is your friend, but is it truly that way in the practical terms? No. When you get to the police station, you see boldly written, bail free. Has any bail been free? No. Several things that have happened that have made citizens to separate themselves completely from relating with the security agencies. Because police are relating with the people one-on-one, which was supposed to be the best and the easiest way of relating with the citizens and gathering intelligence to support other agencies. Before now, you have the civil defense put out as an agency that was supposed to be helping to gather intelligence from the field for maybe this, to support the effort of the operational force and intelligence. But because civil defense have become a unit, an armed unit, where they can now pick their intelligence and force it themselves, intelligence gathering in Nigeria became a very big problem to solve. The reason that the Nigerian police are not able to unravel some of the crimes or support the military or other channels to see that intelligence is unveiled and at the same time prosecuted appropriately is because the synergy between them, the synergy between security agencies is not anchored in the best manner that it was supposed to be. The mechanisms that guide intelligence gathering are completely shattered. They are not aligned. So the picture about police doing well or not doing well, we will still have some time to get to that point of, first of all, getting it right. If the present Inspector General of Police, who is putting his best on ground, but his best is not really giving us what we are still looking for yet, because down here, we have so many persons who are not trusting the services of the police, and then too, the police officers themselves are not also helping matters because so many of them are still lacking trainings. The professionalism is still not there. Police officers are still going out there drinking during working hours and doing all kinds of things that are not meant to be done. We cannot really be coming to the air and be painting it very smooth when out there everything is not all right. For me, we are looking at encouraging the security agencies in general. That is not all about this unit or that unit. The Office of the National Security Advisor still have a whole lot of work to do by trying to see that in as much as the service chiefs have been changed, other agencies still have their own problems. They should look around and see how the synergy between these agencies will be fine-tuned. And then at the end of the day, Nigerians, if we have a synergy that welcome a development partnership between the grassroots and the security agencies' operations, generally, Nigerians will come to the point where even civil defense, police, and all the rest will be trusted. It's not all about police even. And it shouldn't even be police because, one, everybody keeps saying police are the, the operative agencies that are close to the people and all that. It's gone beyond that because the trust between the citizen and the police has been breached.
All right, so there's more to come from our guests, both in Lagos and Abuja. Plus, we'll be going to the streets as well to find out what do the people think of all of this, including all of what has been said here today. That will be in a moment. Don't go away. Well, our man Chris Elems, he'll tell us what part of Lagos he is and what the people think. He's there to bring that to us this morning. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Chamberlain. How are you this morning? Actually, I'm reaching you live from Fadeyi here in Lagos. It's on the ever-busy Ikorodu Road. And, of course, the road has even gotten busier since the partial closure of the third mainland bridge. So a lot of people now take this route. And it even gets worse when you have tankers all around here. But we do know that the big story at this moment is a change of service chiefs. Nigerians had clamored for this for a very, very long time owing to the security situation in the country, even though the Minister of Information will beg to differ with anyone on this, going by his recent pronouncement on the level of insecurity in the country. Well, just when Nigerians felt so tired of the agitation, the big news came and the service chiefs were changed. Right now, the question is, how do they respond to the task before them? And what do Nigerians really expect from them? Because I know that expectations are high. Nigerians want to enjoy safer country, safer environment. They're tired of all the stories of insecurity being bandied around. I have with me some Nigerians on the street. One of them is a youth activist, James Usega, who happens to also be from Ondo State, right? Yeah. Well, he's a young activist and, of course, a politician and a writer as well. Yeah, James, talk to us. What are your expectations from these new service chiefs? Talk to us.
Well, to whom much is given, much is expected. But I like to say to Nigerians not to expect so much from these people. Why do I say that? Because at some point, you will notice that when somebody gives birth to a baby, the baby will not just walk overnight. The baby will have to crawl, from crawling to walk, and then it begins to run. Now, these service chiefs, they are just getting into the system. So when they get in there, there is every possibility for them to, rejig the system. They have to restart all over again to see how best they can give their own maybe strategy and, of course, solutions to what the Nigerians are really expecting. Yes, expectations are high, but we shouldn't just forget the fact that these people are just getting in. Now, I also need you to know that the president has been in a situation where the appointment is coming a bit late. The situation has been late because we've been crying about this. Senator Ali Dume was the one that sponsored this bill as at June. And the president is just bringing this to effect now. So you can imagine the time it took the president for this to happen. So what is the president saying about all of this in his body language? What does it mean to people like us? What do we think? Are these people going to prefer solution at the long run? Because even if they will do anything, it has to be in line with the boss, which is the president of Nigeria. If the president wants them to really take all the banditries, all the insecurity that we are facing out of the system, then it means that they have to obey what the president says. But if otherwise, then they cannot just work. So we shouldn't expect magic from these people.
Do you think there will be a situation where the president is not interested in the security of the country?
See, definitely, every president will want our country to be secured. But looking at the situation of things, I just made mention of the delay, how long it took the president to finally hear. Now, do we expect magic overnight? No, it won't happen. That is what Nigerians need to know. These people are not just, they are not spirits. They are human beings. There is a time for a child, when you give birth to a child, the child will first take breast milk before it takes another, solid food. So it's a gradual process. When they get into the system, it's a gradual move for them to rejig the system. And when they rejig the system, it means that they have to follow a due process to prefer solution.
Okay. I also have with me a lawyer and also a development activist. He would be talking to us, sharing his views with us on this. Tell us, what would you expect them to start doing at this point? Patrick Inobeme.
Good morning, Nigerians. The truth is that
you can use your
first and foremost, we have to clap for the president for eventually listening to the voice of Nigeria by changing the service chiefs. And in line with his delayed response, as we know prior to now, we also hope that he will follow this with the necessary retooling of the military by providing them with the necessary military armament, with the resources required for them to function professionally. So, but given what some of us know about this regime, that the problem has not actually been the service chiefs. The problem has always been the political will to ensure that there is security in Nigeria. Why am I saying this? How long did it take the president to respond to the cries to change the security service chiefs of this country? It took the National Assembly to even pass a resolution that the executive should act to change the service chief. But in a well-ordered democracy, the National Assembly was not supposed to pass a resolution for the changing of the service. They were actually supposed to begin impeachment proceedings against the president for failing his primary duty, which is the security of lives and property of Nigerians, which he swore on oath to uphold. So that is why if you take two primary issues, which are the basic security challenges of Nigeria today, you will see that the government is not ready at all, or we have not seen anything, and no blueprint, no concerted effort, no discussion is going on with a view to addressing them. Let's take the two issues one by one. The first issue is Boko Haram. It's on record that the last known genuine effort at fighting Boko Haram was the one mooted when General Rika was in power. But what happened? There was a concerted effort to defeat Boko Haram once and for all at that time. What happened? The political elite started crying that the guy was engaging in genocide, was killing Northerners, was killing everybody. And President Jonathan had to remove that general. And from that time till now, there has not been any genuine effort.
Okay, let's say, what's the way forward? If you want to say, if you were given or saddled with the responsibility of finding a way forward, what would you advise the presidency at this time?
The way forward is to come up with a holistic approach to resolving the security challenges of Nigeria. You cannot continue to say you want to embrace repentant Boko Haram, who has taken up arms against the nation. You enlist them in the security apparatus of Nigeria. You enlist them in the Nigerian military, and you expect there to be peace. There will be no peace. First and foremost, Boko Haram war must be faced with all seriousness. If it needs killing them, they have to be killed so that there will be peace. Secondly,
Okay, just 10 minutes, 10 seconds, 10 seconds.
Secondly, the issue of Fulani invasion of Nigeria. It is not, to me, changing the service chiefs is just the beginning. The head of immigration, the head of custom has to be changed. And the president has to be serious. Let them come up with a blueprint for all these people to work. Our borders cannot continue to be porous, whereby every criminal, every marauder is free to enter Nigeria and do whatever he likes and move on. Those are the problems of Nigeria.
All right, Nigerians speaking. Well, I tell you that the discussion definitely will continue on different platforms. But right now, I'll take you back to the studio from Fadeyi or Jibowu right here in Lagos.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Crystal M's, our man on the streets, as you saw there. All right then, Kaide.
Well, yeah, it's interesting to hear what Nigerians have to say. But Honorable Bagos, I'd like to get your opinion on this as well. Maokwe hinted on this much earlier, so let me just get you to answer this squarely. So we've had, opinions regarding the process of appointing service chiefs. So we've had, senior advocates and lawyers and other people saying, well, this is not the proper way to go about it. The National Assembly should be in the know before the service chiefs are announced, or appointed rather. We saw what happened in 2015, the same process. The president appointed them and then they were eventually confirmed by the Senate. And now it's happening again. So really, are they service chiefs yet? Are they acting in acting capacity, or they're not until the Senate confirms them?
Yeah, well, constitutionally, they are acting. Because the Constitution says that the National Assembly will approve or will screen them before they are being sworn in. So constitutionally, definitely they are acting, and even the acts that establish the Army Act and so on and so forth, Section 18, subsection 1 and 2, clearly states that they will be screened by the National Assembly. So as it is now, they are acting unless otherwise. But if they immediately resume, then that is a constitutional breach. But they are acting. When the National Assembly resumes the next few days, we expect that the Senate would screen them, and as well as through the Joint Committee. But then, for now, they are definitely acting. The president has the power to nominate, but the appointment comes when they are being sworn in. So, but if someone will just say that they have been appointed and they have started operations, then definitely that's a constitutional breach. But constitutionally, they are acting as it is now.
I mean, because we saw they had a meeting with the president. I mean, in fact, in 2015, when the previous service chiefs were appointed, it was actually an appointment, and then they said it was an active capacity before the National Assembly confirms them. But this case has been taken to court, interestingly, by Festus Keyamo. And this is an opinion of a lawyer, looking at all the provisions, saying that the president lacks the power to to appoint new service chiefs, effect or approve changes in the military high command before or even after briefing leadership of the National Assembly and before requesting the National Assembly to confirm the appointment, essentially saying that even before they are announced, the National Assembly should have given some sort of approval. Do you agree with that, seeing the court cases and then the interpretation of the Constitution?
Well, you see, most of our issues in this country is not following due process. Number one, the National Assembly does not have the power to go and nominate, but the president does that. So if it were an issue that's supposed to be that, look, this is my nomination, and send it to the National Assembly or in consultation with the National Assembly, if that was not done, then that definitely is an issue of just administrative procedures. But then for their confirmation, like I said earlier, definitely it has to come from the National Assembly. But then the National Assembly does not have the power to go and outsource who will be the service chief. If we had the power to do that, we could have done that since, because the National Assembly has called for the change of service chief almost like 3 times when we thought that the problem of insecurity is about the service chiefs. And later down the line, we really realized that the problem was not even the service chiefs. That's why we called for an audience with the president. But then the truth of it is that the National Assembly must screen the service chiefs.
Okay, well, let me ask Mr. Akparakwu here. We just saw our correspondent, Chris Lems, talking to those Nigerians out there. What do you think about some of those recommendations that they actually proffered?
You have heard what the young man there said. The other one is looking at not expecting so much from the service chiefs. Let's change that picture, that Nigerians should expect more than what the former service chiefs did from this one, especially on the grounds that these service chiefs were all in operations in line with the former service chiefs' government. So for any Nigerians to think that they are coming new to the face of the insurgency or challenges Nigerians are facing, that would be under expectation. We should expect very, very high result from them because they are all experienced. They all have participated in the effort of the former service chiefs. And if these former service chiefs didn't do well, they were part of that government. So they should write their names now in good because they have the opportunity to correct it. The other person said the picture of what he felt is the problem was that the former service chiefs did not meet up the expectations of Nigeria and, of course, refer to the former service chiefs, the Ihejerika and all the rest of them, who were out to render services according to him, that the services were genuine and then post out. Here, we have realities. Let's leave the past. The reality and the way forward should be more important to Nigerians at this moment. These service chiefs on board, they are not spirit, and they are not also foreigners. They are Nigerians. They have known what our problem is, and they are in the field already. So they should go straight to the point to dot the I's and cross the T's from the existing reports they have had. They know what to do to bring Nigerians to that point of happiness. At the moment, you are also witnessing, especially you, the press, you know what is happening in the southwest here, and you know what is happening in the southeast. The drama of the military man that went to a beer parlor to drink, and then from drinking, it ends to fighting, and from fighting, invasion of a community, and right now, there is a large crisis going on there, and I don't know how many people as at this moment have died as a result of that crisis. Now, the one in the west here, where the Fulani herdsmen, the community, and the volunteer structures that have decided to take laws into their hands to do what they feel that government has failed. They felt the government have not protected the people enough by allowing Fulani herdsmen to enter communities or farmlands to take over the environment, as a result, breaching peace, and then leading to the point of anarchy where the citizens are now looking helpless, which was what I think yesterday with another sister station, I was telling them one point that I feel should be given attention to. In a situation where security agencies in the country have decided to barricade their offices with all the weapons you can think of, weapons that are supposed to be positioned in different points of, or different locations in our streets, to show a force of, the show of force to Nigerian citizens, and then those who also think that the Nigerian security agencies are not strong enough. These weapons are used to barricade the security agencies' offices. Now you go through the road, especially in places like Abuja, you see where roads are barricaded, shared major roads for the purpose of adding support to the barricading of security agencies' premises. These are not making Nigerian citizens to have trust on security agencies.
Perhaps, Ambassador, there is a critical element we generally seem to be missing or not giving due attention to now. Well, yes, all eyes are on service chiefs, but perhaps, there is a need for us to pay attention to the fact that this whole exercise is all about the people.
Yes.
You referenced something the other time, the fact that, we seem to be, sidelining or sidestepping other security agencies. The police, for instance. The primary function of the police is not to fight crime. It is to prevent crime. And from what the references that you made in the Southwest and the Southeast and even in the Northeast, do you think we're even doing anything significantly to prevent the crime as opposed to fighting them?
It adds to what I said earlier, that one, the training and retraining of the police officers, which was supposed to be the major focus of the police hierarchy in the government, is not given attention the way it was supposed to be. The police officers are expected to be trained with the relevant knowledge and information that they would use as experience to execute their operations. But because the training and retraining services are not given in full focus, in a situation where, let me divert a little, in a situation where security agencies will take their men out of Nigeria in the name of training, and then you have maybe in the list, you see training, counter-terrorism training in Israel, and maybe these men are flown from Abuja to Lagos, and from Lagos fly to Songa Farm in Cotonou, all in the name of training, and at the end of the day, certificates will be issued as though they were trained in Israel.
Well, this is what you're saying, Ambassador, is still talking largely about the personnel themselves, but I was hoping that we'll be able to pay attention to the people, but we're running out of time. We have to thank you very much, Ambassador Akparakwu, who is chairman of the Governing Council Policing Nigeria Awareness. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts this morning. Well, Honorable Bagos, before I hand you over to Maokwe, the same question, but perhaps in a different way. You are a member of the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence. First of all security agencies are supposed to prevent any form of crime or incursion into Nigeria. But now, because it's all come in, we seem to be paying a lot more attention to fighting the crime and giving far less credence to preventing other crimes. That's why we now have from kidnapping, we have insurgency in the Northeast, we have banditry, kidnapping, and everywhere, all other crimes in various parts of Nigeria. We are losing all of that, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I agree with you because in my opening statement, I said we have the capacity, but our problem is institutional capacity. In the 21st century, we are still talking about ground movement in trying to address the issue of insurgents. We are not talking of technology. In the 21st century, you're trying to fight crime or to prevent crime and you don't have technology, you are not going anywhere. I can give example, for instance, here, if you don't have CCTV, someone will just come and pick a phone or something and he goes. But if you have CCTV and you're looking at everywhere, somebody, before even picking the phone, you already know who has picked the phone. So if we are not looking at technology to be able to address this issue in terms of prevention, before even reaching to the crime issue, we will not go anywhere. We'll always wait till when it happens, we start moving like fire service. And if the people and the service chiefs we have today get into office and they don't have, the institution does not have capacity, will not go anywhere. Talking of what do we have on ground, like the president said, he will pray for them. And actually, yes, we will all pray for them because do they have the equipment? Do they have the satellite approval? Or do they even have the satellite to be able to comb some of those areas in where we have insurgents? No. And unfortunately, when Atahiru was removed, and people were saying, as far as I'm concerned, it was collateral damage because he was given 40 days. And what equipment does he have to go and look for where Shekau or where the Chibok girls were? He doesn't have the equipment apart from ground ground operations. What kind of guns do our people have? Check the military even on the streets. You will see their own kind of AK-47 is an outdated AK-47. See the tankers we have, see the military vehicles they have here. How can they really be able to address these issues? So institutional capacity is very important. And that was one of the issues that we said, look, we want to have an interface with the president. Let's know the real issues, because it's not just about changing the service chiefs. We want to ask the president, what is the issue? What are those things that have made you not to deliver in terms of addressing the issue of insecurity in the country?
What about when you interface with the service chiefs themselves? Are they not honest
enough? I can assure you the interface with the service chiefs will be lack of funds, lack of equipment. That has been the problem. And we shouldn't be political with the truth here.
So would you say that, you know, we have reason to really be optimistic? Yes, there has been a boost of morale of some sort. We could see that with the rank and file, some of the reactions that we saw from the barracks in military circles. However, apart from that, I mean, not much else has changed. Guest in Lagos chronicled, you know, some of the other challenges with other sister security agencies that they'll need to work with, especially those tasks with internal security. So is there really much to rejoice about with this change that we've seen?
Well, I honestly believe that every change will bring something different. And I think that the fact that we have new service chiefs, we're expecting them to come out with a strategy that gives us hope that the justification for their appointment can be celebrated, can be recognized as a major milestone in the administration.
Despite the challenges that they will face?
Look, the challenges are there. And the challenges are systemic, but somebody has to come up with a solution. And therefore, we are looking for this solution, and that solution includes changing the team. But you have mentioned something very important. Coordination. One of the chaotic situations in the administration has been that people are pulling their spaces and protecting it as if we are not one administration. The National Security Advisor now have a golden opportunity that new service chiefs are on board. Whatever influence, whatever mindset the previous service chiefs have that were not fully cooperating with the office of the NSO can now be rectified. The other arms of security within the nation that are civil security apparatus can now be coordinated effectively. I think coordinations and intelligence gathering is the next big challenge for this new team. We have an existing team. The Inspector General of Police is not new. The NSA is not new. There's another element that we are forgetting. The Minister of Interior is an important element of this discussion. We tend to put him aside because there are so many agencies under him that can help in bringing intelligence and coordination to secure the country.
What do you also say about, and we're totally out of time, but what do you also say about those who say the Southeast was not reflected in this appointment? Do you think that would have any effect whatsoever, especially now that there's a challenge with the Eastern Security Network?
Look, I think every time we talk about important appointment, what I'm very happy about this appointment is nobody is even talking about who they are, what tribe they are, where they come from. We're all talking about their background, their professionalism and everything. Security is such a very important thing that we should weigh the individuals that are brought forward from the point of competence and professionalism. This is very important. And please, because we're running out of time, there is something very important. I have heard from many, many quarters, important quarters, that the security challenge the country is facing is also predicated on very many foreign influences on our system. I think citizens have responsibility here, that when government is trying to secure the country, there are citizens who have some sort of linkages to other interests outside the country must recognize that we have no other country than this Nigeria. We must be patriotic. There are elements in this country that honestly compromise the security of the nation because of primordial and personal interest. We need to understand that other big nations are interested in this country. This country has potential. It's big. It is well positioned in Africa and entire world. We have to watch out for diabolical plans that we can be used for. Either we know or we don't know. This is a challenge for this country, and I think we are facing that as part of the collective security challenges that this country is facing.
It's a fine place to leave it. We have to thank you gentlemen for coming on Sunrise. I wish we had more time, but we don't. We have to go now. Engineer Muazu Magaji is an APC national stakeholder and member, or was member of the 2019 Presidential Campaign Council. And Honorable Dachong Bagos is a member of the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.